Well, welcome back to 2K Away. I'm Paige. This is my sister Peyton.
Hey,
We
hey.
are 2,000 miles away from each other, and we do true crime, weird things, macabre, all that fun stuff. So we are going to do a me week, me Paige,
Yes,
and
yes.
I am actually going to go ahead and do what I said I was going to do last week. I am going to be covering Lisa Montgomery this week,
Yes.
who was just executed. Spoiler alert. Last,
Executed?
she was executed.
Paige isn't
Uh,
used to doing intros.
we never thought about it before, but I guess I could try it. So she was just executed on the 13th. So in I don't want to say honor of her,
No,
but because of that,
because of new developments.
in her case, aka she's no longer with us,
Yes.
I decided to go ahead and do this case because I remember when it happened, I was like 13, but I do remember this happening, but I just kind of since then have forgotten about it. So,
Yeah, because that happened when we were really young. So, of course, we
yeah.
don't really remember it all that well. But
Yeah,
it
it's
was it
13.
was crazy when it happened. And it
Yeah, and
was, and it was also very close to us as well. So that was another thing that was like pretty scary.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up in mid-state Illinois, when Missouri is only an hour from us,
Yeah.
yes, it was a little bit freaky. So I actually read the book. It's called Baby Be Mine: The Shocking True Story of a Woman Who Murdered a Pregnant Mother to Steal Her Child by Diane Fanning. This book is fascinating. Highly recommend you get this and read through it because it not only talks about what happened, but it also talks about other similar cases to this, which baffled me. I didn't realize this is kind of a, I don't want to say common thing, but common enough to where they have a whole psychology behind it. So, and I will talk about that kind of towards the end.
Yeah,
So,
because when you told me that, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? That is so sad that
yeah,
is its own kind of category."
yeah,
And we'll
yeah.
explain what we're talking about.
Yep. So, unless you have anything to talk about, I'm gonna get right into it.
No, except that there is the Night Stalker documentary on Netflix,
Yes.
and it
I
looks
haven't.
so fucking good, and I'm going to watch it. But I'm in the process of watching the Ripper docuseries. So, because
Yeah,
guess
I
what,
haven't seen
guys?
it yet either.
Next week, Peter Sutcliffe. Like I said, I was going to. Mary Piercy was much more pressing, but Sutcliffe is next week.
All right. Okay. So, for those of you who have never heard of Lisa Montgomery, and what happened, I'm going to start off talking about Bobbie Jo Stinnett. So, on December 4th, 1981, Bobbie Jo was born. She was born with a cleft palate, actually, but it was surgically fixed when she was around 2 years old. So her mother, Becky, and her father, who was unnamed, couldn't find him anywhere,
Hmm.
they got divorced in 1985. So she was only 4 years old. But her mom got married again when Bobbie Jo was 13. And then her mom and her new stepfather had a little boy. So she did have one brother. So they lived in Skidmore, Missouri, which is a town of about 200 or less people. So kind of like the town we grew up in.
Yep.
So literally everybody knew everybody. And the county that the town was in was Nottoway County. And just to tell you how small this county was, their whole county population was less than 23,000 people. So our county population is about 30,000 people. So very small community.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we get
So
it.
true
We get
small
it.
town USA.
Yep.
And to put this on the map a little bit, it's right on the border of Iowa. It's very at the very top of Missouri, towards like the left-hand side. It's only one county away from not being in Missouri. So way up there.
Yeah.
So throughout school, Bobbie Jo, she was always a little quiet, but she was well liked. She was also known to be very helpful. And by the time she was in high school, she was on the honor roll. She was in 4-H. She was a cheerleader. She worked on the high school newspaper and the yearbook, and she barrel raced. She loved barrel racing.
Oh, that's so
She
cool.
was actually pretty good at it, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Might be seeing my cat jump up on the bed. So she was a very big animal lover. Any, like literally any animal, great, big or small, she loved them all.
I get
and
it.
loved riding her horses. So high school is when actually she started dating Zeb Stinnett. Zeb Stinnett. Okay, yeah, I want to make sure I said it right. So it was Zebediah, but he went by Zeb. They were completely inseparable, totally head over heels for each other. And then she graduated in 2000. On April 26, 2003, she married her high school sweetheart, her and Zeb. Because I didn't actually get Bobbie Jo's maiden name. I don't know if she went by her mother's maiden name or her father's name. I'm not sure. I just have only seen her as Bobbie Jo Stinnett.
Okay.
So they were so happy, and they were saving up to buy a house of their own because they were just renting at the moment.
Stop.
Yeah,
my heart.
I know. So Bobbie Jo had a couple of part-time jobs just to start out, and Zeb actually worked at the Kawasaki manufacturing plant near them. So Bobbie Jo, who was still very much an animal lover, she actually got into the rat terrier breeding business, and she made it her business to know literally everything she possibly could about the breed. And she even got into the specifics of what colors to breed to get a certain other color.
Oh wow!
And
so she
yeah,
went like head first into that.
yes, she did. Yeah,
That's
because
awesome.
she had started out with one, and she kind of thought, oh, this would be really cool to breed this. I don't remember if it was the male or the female that she had first, but then she got another one and had a breed of puppies, and it had just kind of kicked off from there. So she eventually quit her 2 part-time jobs, and then she joined Zeb at the Kawasaki plant, and as well as running her rat terrier breeding business. So she called it Happy Haven Farms, which is precious.
That is precious.
I know. So she was even showing some of her dogs as well, and she was doing a pretty good job of it, getting very well respected in the breeding community.
Oh wow.
So what she was also part of is this, I guess, chat board back before all the social media became a thing.
Yeah.
She was in these rat terrier breeder chat boards, and it was this whole huge big community across the US that they were all part of, and they would communicate regularly. They would talk back and forth about different tactics and about everybody's dogs, or hey, I'd like to breed mine with yours, like that type of thing.
Yeah, like a real actual community of dog breeders and everything.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
So Zeb wasn't much, it's not that he wasn't into it, but he supported her wholeheartedly, and he loved that she loved doing this, and she loved her dogs.
Oh.
And they even one of their bedrooms, they fully made into basically their dog kennel, and that was their dog room. So she was so passionate about it. So then Bobbie Jo found out she was pregnant in April of 2004, pretty early in April. They were absolutely ecstatic about this. She was due January 19th, 2005. So they started making the baby's room. They picked out a boy name. They picked out a girl name. So if it was a boy, it was going to be Zebediah Jr. And then if it was girl, it was going to be Victoria Jo. So she could not wait to share with her rat terrier community about being pregnant, and she, I think, posted a couple pictures or something. But it was still very early on in her pregnancy, so like she just
Right.
found out, but she could not wait to tell everybody, and everybody was super happy for her and very supportive. So the same month, she attended a dog show with one of her show dogs. So it was there that she met another rat terrier breeder who was in full maternity clothes, and she said she was pregnant with twins. So she said she was due mid-December. I think it was like December 15th is what she was saying. Her name was Lisa Montgomery. Bobbie Jo thought she was very nice. They chatted about their pregnancies. They had a good time. And I mean, she thought, hey, yeah, I'll stay in contact with her. But other people in the rat terrier community felt very uneasy about with Lisa, and they tried not to have long conversations with her. But Bobbie Jo, being the sweet girl that she was, she kept in contact with Lisa, and they'd talk about their dogs, they'd talk about their pregnancies, their lives, the whole nine. So Bobbie Jo even defended Lisa and wanted everyone to give her a second chance when people were all up in her uproar with Lisa, saying that she's lying, and
Oh, that breaks my heart.
I know they wanted to kick her out of the group, but Bobbie Jo was like, no, it's a misunderstanding. Just give her another chance. And since she was so well respected in the rat terrier community, they agreed and did not kick Lisa out. I know. Mm-hmm. In November, Bobbie Jo's friends threw her a baby shower. She got all kinds of good stuff. They had a great time. And she found out she was having a little girl. Got a ton of cute little pink things and the whole nine.
Oh.
On December 15th, a woman named Darlene Fisher contacted Jason Dawson, who was another rat terrier breeder. So she was saying that she wanted to get a puppy for her kids for Christmas. She was saying she had 4 kids and they absolutely love dogs, and she really think that this would be a perfect addition to their family. So he thought it was super sweet of her, and he wanted to help her, but he asked her where she was from, and she said Fairfax, Missouri. Fairfax is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Skidmore.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very far at all. I think it's like the next county over or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So it was a little too far from Jason, though, and since he knew Bobbie Jo was close to her, he gave her information, her contact information. So she emailed Bobbie Jo, and they exchanged emails for about 20 minutes, and then they arranged for Darlene to go to Bobbie Jo's house the next day on the 16th to pick out a puppy. At this point in time, Bobbie Jo was 8 months pregnant. So a pinkish red-ish kind of a color Toyota Corolla pulled up in front of Bobbie Jo's house right around the time that Darlene was supposed to be meeting her.
Mm-hmm.
Bobbie Jo let her into the house and took her to the bedroom where the dogs were. And they played with some of the dogs for a little bit. And then as they were walking out of the bedroom, Bobbie Jo was in front of the woman. And the woman pulled a rope out of her pocket and threw it around Bobbie Jo's neck and pulled until she lost consciousness and fell to the floor. So once she was on the floor, she pulled a paring knife out of her pocket and made a very large incision in Bobbie Jo's stomach, as if she was trying to perform a C-section. This woke Bobbie Jo up, and she got up and put up a fucking fight.
Yeah.
Like, bad. To the point where there was blood literally everywhere. There was bloody footprints everywhere. I mean, it was even like between her toes, it said.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But you could tell that there was quite a struggle because, I mean, just footprints everywhere. She was completely covered in blood. And there was like, I know this is really gross, but there's clots of blood that was like falling on the floor
Oh,
from her
wow.
stomach. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what was happening was the woman she was trying to subdue Bobbie Jo again, and Bobbie Jo was doing everything she possibly could to fend this woman off.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she actually was able to get a hold of the knife, but she managed to cut the woman a little bit on her hands.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman managed to put the rope back around her neck. And it was at this point she reached behind her and was able to pull clumps of this woman's hair out. But the woman was adamant this time. She pulled until she actually stopped breathing. And it's said that this is actually what killed her.
Okay.
So once she was back down on the floor, the woman finished the job. She finished what she was there to do. She cut through the skin in her stomach. She cut through the muscle fiber all the way into her uterus and managed to get the baby out. She cut the cord, basically kind of just pinched it off, tied it off, and took off. Baby, knife, and all, and left Bobbie Jo there on the floor.
Wait, so if Bobbie Jo had met Lisa already?
Back in April, one time.
Yeah, but then she should at least be familiar with what she looks like, don't you think?
Well, that's another thing that they don't really know, if she thought maybe, hey, she looks familiar, or wait, I know her, because it was clear that they went fully into the house. There was no forced entry whatsoever. I don't know. Because, I mean, she only met the woman one time, and it was back in April. This was December.
Okay.
Okay. So Bobbie Jo was supposed to pick her mom up from work that day, actually, like around 3:30 or something, or around 3 or something like that. So when she couldn't get a hold of her, Becky ended up going to her house around 3:30. I'm not sure how she got there, if she was supposed to pick her up from work, but Becky was the one that ended up finding her. So the worst thing, though, was the feeling of dread when she came up to the house and saw that the door was ajar. This is the Midwest in December. We don't leave our doors open in the winter at all. So she goes in and she finds Bobbie Jo on the floor, and she obviously saw the horror that was surrounding her.
And this is her mother, correct?
This is her mother.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So she calls 911, and the actual quote that she used was, she told the 911 operator that it looked like her stomach exploded. She didn't even realize the baby was missing at this point. So police and EMS got to the scene. I mean, there was just a ton of people that ended up showing up on scene. And Becky, the sheriff, actually was one of them that was on scene. And obviously he knew the family too. Everybody knew that Bobbie Jo was pregnant. So Becky made sure she told the EMTs that, hey, she's 8 months pregnant. Make sure the baby's okay as well. But the EMTs told the sheriff, who Ben Epsey is the sheriff. They were the ones to tell the sheriff that there was no baby.
Yeah, like there's no baby in there.
No. So even though I think that, and it even said this in the book too, that the EMTs, they worked her the whole way to the hospital.
Oh.
She wasn't officially pronounced dead until she was at the hospital. So I think it was more the fact of, not that they didn't realize that she was already gone. It was the fact that this young 23-ish-year-old woman who was supposed to be 8 months pregnant kind of was one of those things where you're going to try at all costs to save her.
Right. Of course.
Until you get to the hospital.
Yeah.
So once the death was officially ruled a homicide and they realized that the baby was missing and was no longer there, Sheriff Epsy, he immediately requested an Amber Alert.
Yeah.
And they started their investigation. But he was denied the Amber Alert at first.
How can you deny an Amber Alert?
There are certain criteria that you have to meet to get an Amber Alert.
Okay.
You have to have a description of the child. And he had no description of the child.
Because it hadn't been born yet.
Nobody but the woman who took her knew what the baby looked like. He didn't have a name and he didn't have a description. They denied him. Can you believe that?
Please tell me that some good came from this case and that's been changed.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
So he didn't have a description, didn't have a name. He kept trying and he was getting denied. They would not issue an Amber Alert for her. So while they were working on that
infuriates me.
I know. When I read that, I was just floored. Absolutely floored.
I'm sorry to everyone in Missouri, but I want to set your state on fire right now. I'm so angry.
Oh, just wait. So they're trying to think.
Just wait. I'm gonna get more angry. Damn it.
Just wait. So they're trying to think of possible suspects because they're like, she doesn't have any enemies. There's nobody that's out for her.
Right. Like, this is a sweet girl that everybody loves. Who the hell would want to do this? Yeah.
Right. So the first one that you think of, it's always the husband, right?
Of course. Yeah. Poor guy.
Zeb was at work. So, I mean, that was a clear alibi. He clearly was not the one that did it. So they were like, well, we don't have any other possible ideas or easy ideas, at least right now.
Yeah.
Because again, she doesn't have any enemies. She's not arguing with people. There's nothing. So, he enlisted Sheriff Epsy. He enlisted just a shit ton of help. At this point, the FBI hadn't gotten involved yet, but there was somebody, I don't think it was part of his staff. I don't think it was part of his deputies. Maybe it was part of the state police that had a computer guy, basically, for lack of a better word, that he got to work on her computer that they found. So they were able to find the conversation between her and Darlene for the meetup that day. So their first step that they were trying to do was find Darlene Fisher. We have to find her.
Right.
She said she was from Fairfax. So they looked in every possible record that they possibly could to find a Darlene Fisher from Fairfax and had zero luck, and quickly found that Darlene Fisher does not exist. So another thing that I thought was pretty cool was, I think it was the officers, maybe this person didn't have an Apple computer. They had just like a HP, I don't know, something other than an Apple.
Gotcha.
And I guess Bobbie Jo had an Apple. So to try to get... Sure. Yeah. So to try to get them to communicate,
they didn't have an Apple, they had an orange.
So they couldn't figure it out.
Okay.
So
Darlene didn't have a Mac.
Oh, well, no, I don't know what she would have had, but Bobbie Jo had
it wasn't a Mac. There we go. Okay.
Bobbie Jo had a Mac. The officer, the computer guy, didn't have a Mac. So he was trying to get into her computer and
you can't.
couldn't with his, so it was a whole thing. So they even it was either that or the other way around. I can't remember which.
Oh.
But whatever software that they needed or something, this was in the book. They the person that created it or something was from Sweden. So they literally contacted that person from Sweden to help them with this case. So he said that he helped law enforcement before, but from Sweden. So this was his first time working with the US police. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, go to the source.
that's exactly what they did.
Right. That's
honestly,
really
though,
smart, actually.
they did this in such a quick fashion because, I mean, she was found at 3:30, brought to the hospital, and they're like, boom, they're getting into it. So,
well, good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The people that were able to do this, they are amazing. This sheriff, this was fantastic.
Yeah, because it really just sucks with, you do get this a lot with small towns, is like sometimes a case of this kind of magnitude, sometimes they mishandle a few things because you don't normally deal with this kind of thing in a smaller town. And that I'm not even trying to talk badly on small towns. We came from a small town, but sometimes that happens. So that's really awesome on that sheriff.
A lot of time there's not enough resources. That's the other bad thing.
Well, that too.
So
well, I mean, look at, I live in Los Angeles. The LAPD is oh. Anyway, continue.
So this whole time, Sheriff Epsy is still trying to work on the Amber Alert. So he kept going higher and higher and higher up the food chain to try to find somebody who will push this through for him. And sure shit, he found somebody. So
good.
It was who was it? Some congressman, I think. Congressman Graves, I think is the name, that he finally got a hold of. But it was like damn near midnight by the time he finally got to this person. So once he heard of the case, he was like, we're fucking pushing this through.
Thank you, Congressman.
Amber Alert.
Maybe Graves. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you to that Congressman.
It is now live. So by 12:30 a.m., they got their Amber Alert.
That's way too late. My goodness.
Way too late. From 3:30 p.m.
I know, those poor
Let's
people.
just say 4:30. Let's just say it took an hour. Still, that's 8 hours before they were able to do an Amber Alert. The first 24 are crucial in a child abduction, in a regular child abduction. This was a C-section abduction. That is a whole new thing. So once they were able to get this pushed through, someone posted on the Rat Terrier board that they heard that Bobbie Jo was dead. So a breeder, she was murdered, actually. They made sure to say, oh my gosh, she was murdered. So a breeder from North Carolina, on the other side of the country, she remembered a conversation between Darlene and Bobbie Jo. So she called the Missouri FBI and told them about it. So she was the one, God love this woman, she was the one that gave them the information to get into this Rat Terrier board, and that's how they were able to find the IP address for this Darlene Fisher.
That's awesome.
So this woman gave them the information for this Rat Terrier board. It was literally called Ratter Chatter. How funny is that?
That is so precious.
So she gave them the information for this. This woman, Diane Siktar, Saktar.
Thank you, Diane.
Yes.
Good on you, Diane.
Yeah, you were part of saving this baby.
You are a saint.
Yes.
Thank you, Diane.
And good on you to actually get in contact with somebody and be like, and not be that person that's like, oh, I'm sure somebody else will do this.
Yeah.
get in there and make that phone call.
Right. That's such a big problem. Like if you see something, if you hear something, say something.
Yeah.
That is so important.
So she gave him the information and they were able to find an IP address and in turn an actual physical address. So this is where the FBI got involved because this address happened to be in Melbourne, Kansas, a
Mhm.
town with a population of about 6-ish hundred people. So another small town, but cross state lines. So FBI got involved at this point in time.
Right.
There were 6 FBI agents and Kansas law enforcement arrived at the residence of Kevin and Lisa Montgomery. This was on the 17th. I think like mid-ish morning, around noonish.
Mhm.
Kevin answered the door and he let the officers in because he didn't know what the hell was happening.
Yeah.
When they went in, they saw that they were watching TV and they saw Lisa sitting on the couch holding a baby, and the Amber Alert was literally going across the screen.
I'm
So,
shaking my head. Sorry to those of you that are just listening. I'm just shaking my head in disbelief and
because
being pissed off.
yeah, it is disbelief. It's like it's literally happening right here. She's there with the baby. So Kevin was completely confused as to what was going on. So they questioned Lisa about the baby. So her story was, "Oh yeah, I just had the baby yesterday." So the one of the officers was like, "Oh, can I hold the baby?"
Wait, what day did the officer show up after she was
This
abducted?
the 17th. Bobbie Jo was killed on the 16th.
Oh, so the next day.
Is literally the next day.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the officers was like, "Oh, can I hold the baby while you talk to the other officer about this?" And she's like, "Sure." So he takes the baby and kind of, in my mind, I'm seeing him like slowly inch out of the room.
Like that Ned Flanders meme from The Simpsons where he goes into the bushes.
Right. Right. So that's what I'm picturing in my head, because the more they talk to Lisa and press her like, so where were you yesterday again? And she kind of changed her story a little bit more, and then she changed it a little bit more.
Getting nervous.
And then as the officer's like almost out of the room, she confesses and tells them everything, that she was the one that went.
Wow. I didn't realize it
Yep.
was that easy to get it out of her.
It was pretty easy, yeah. And the whole time Kevin's like, "The fuck is happening?" Because he had zero clue.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So the reason why I keep saying like I think he's like inching out of the room, because as soon as she came out and said, was like, yeah, he turned around, promptly walked out of the house and directly took that baby to a hospital. She was
Good.
getting all the medical attention that because she's a month premature. Bobbie Jo
Mhm.
wasn't due until January 19th.
Yeah.
Not twins. It was one baby that was a full month premature. So he took her there. She was getting all the medical treatment that she needed, and they were doing DNA testing on her as well.
Yeah.
Lisa was promptly arrested for murder and kidnapping. So let's talk about Lisa. Lisa Marie Hedberg was
Yes.
born
Let's
in
talk about her.
Let's talk about Lisa. She was born in Washington State on February 27th, 1968, to mother Judy and father John Hedberg. John was in the military. He was in the army. Yeah, army. So they actually moved. For a split second, I almost thought Navy, but I'm like,
Army.
no, it was definitely the army. I remember
Okay.
now. Because I got it written down here. So they did move around quite a bit, but he ended up getting stationed in Kansas. So her parents ended up having another kid, but they did separate. For the most part, Lisa, she was a decent student. She didn't like stick out or anything, but she was okay. She did learn a couple instruments, pretty much the basics. I wasn't interested enough to learn which ones.
Gotcha.
But
I get it.
she actually really loved to read and would read quite a bit. And if you can believe it, her favorite author was Stephen King. Pause for
Okay.
effect.
Yeah.
So her mom ended up moving them to Oklahoma after she left their father. And she ended up marrying a man named Jack Kleiner. He was a single father of 5. So they
Ooh.
now had 7 kids.
No
And
thanks.
then on top of it, they had 3 kids together. No, thank you.
That's way too many kids.
But
Hell, I think
Jack,
1 is too many.
well, Jack was not a good man. He was both physically and mentally abusing to everybody in the household. But by the time Lisa turned 11, he also started sexually abusing Lisa.
Just Lisa or the other children as well?
I didn't see anything about the other children, not saying that he didn't.
Okay.
But it continued with Lisa until her teens.
Irregardless,
So,
he's a shitbag. Gotcha.
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Not a good human. So her mother supposedly didn't know anything about this.
I don't believe it.
She also was not a saint. I saw in other reports that she also was abusive towards her children.
Great.
And yeah, really great household to grow up in.
Yeah.
Literally the recipe for a killer is what grew up in that household. So she actually, I also saw in another source that she actually would offer Lisa up to other men as for like payment or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think she was a wonderful person either. Don't know. But supposedly she didn't know about that. I'm getting this. That was not in the book. What was in the book was she supposedly didn't know about Jack abusing Lisa like this.
I don't believe that.
But when Lisa was 15, she actually caught them. So she couldn't deny it any longer, even if she knew about it. So because of that,
That literally makes me sick to my stomach.
I know. Yep. Yeah. It's you should just read the book because it's I don't want to say it's awful because the book is great, but this whole part was just absolutely awful.
Yeah.
So she divorced Jack.
Good.
After she caught them.
Well,
so a couple years later, 1986, Judy married Richard Bowman. One of his sons, who was 25, his name was Carl, he started dating Lisa, who was 18 at this point in time. Isn't that great? So just out of high school, she found out she was pregnant. So naturally, they got married. You know,
because that's what you do.
her stepbrother is who she married. Yeah, I mean, it's not her brother.
Don't care.
But it is her stepbrother.
Too close. Too close.
I know. So they got married in August. So she graduated in May, found out she was pregnant, and then they got married in August. Then she ended up having 3 more children in as many years. So in 1987, she had her first child. 88, number 2. 89, number 3. And 1990, number 4.
Oh, so she didn't waste time.
She didn't waste it. They didn't waste any time.
Question.
Yes.
What state is this in?
Currently, they are in Oklahoma.
Is there not laws in Oklahoma that keep you from marrying your siblings?
I don't know.
Maybe not at the time?
Well, though. I mean, there's no blood related. So
there are laws.
I don't know.
Against that.
I don't know. Don't know.
That is so gross.
So after she had her 4th child, Carl basically, I guess you could say forced, but talked her into getting her tubes tied. So she went through the process, got her tubes tied. Carl was like, no more kids. But he supposedly, I saw in other reports that he was not a great person either. And he also abused Lisa and would rape her often as well. So there's all of that. So she was really not having a great time with any of this.
Because I mean, like when you grow up in that kind of environment, that kind of becomes conditioned to be,
I know.
this is what life is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
so Lisa did not have a good go at any of this.
No.
But early on, Judy would say that how much of a compulsive liar Lisa was. Like early on, little kid, she realized how much she lied about anything and everything. She'd lie about it. So, but Carl ended up divorcing Lisa in 93, just 3 years after the last kid was born, and he moved to Arkansas. Well, Lisa was desperate for her marriage to work out. So she packed the kids up and followed him to Arkansas. So once she was there and found him, she told him she was pregnant. Well, Carl's like, well, I know sometimes you can get pregnant after you get your tubes tied. Sometimes it doesn't work. There are cases of that happening. So, I mean, yeah, maybe she is. Well, they decided to work out their differences. Magically, that pregnancy kind of disappeared. Nobody talked about it again.
Of course.
So they ended up getting remarried in 94.
Don't do that. Okay.
They got remarried in 94.
Okay.
But once they were married, all of a sudden she's pregnant again. Isn't that wonderful? She's pregnant.
Oh, okay.
But this time she's pregnant with twins.
Oh.
Yep.
Great.
So, but this time, and she would even kind of show, like, her stomach would get hard kind of sometimes. So that's another reason why Carl was like, yeah, maybe it didn't work. Maybe she actually is. But when her twins due date came and went and there was no twins, Carl obviously realized she was lying.
Uh-huh.
So they were like, well, let's start new. They moved to New Mexico, start a new life. Okay. So Lisa was not working at this point in time. I'm taking you for a wild ride. It's going to get wilder, let me tell you.
Okay.
So Lisa was not working at this point in time, but in the book, it said how she actually started learning basically to live off the land, in that they raised their own food. They grew their own food.
Okay.
And she even sheared her sheep, made the wool into yarn, and made clothes, dyed them, the whole nine. I mean, she was,
okay.
She was,
mad respect for that. Only that though.
And she got her kids into it too. So they would help and everything.
I would say, well, that's really awesome and resourceful, because not everyone, I certainly couldn't fucking do that. Like,
no.
Kidding me?
No. Yeah.
Every plant that I have dies. So I can't even have a cactus in a desert where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I respect that. Okay.
I'm not sure that she actually started doing this in New Mexico. When she moved again, I think that's when she started doing it. But I think she started to get into that when they had moved to New Mexico, when she wasn't working.
Okay.
But she wasn't a housekeeper, because apparently their house, for her entire adult life, she couldn't keep a house, even when she wasn't working.
Like cleaning?
No, yeah. Yeah, it said that their house was always gross. And it was only, the friends of theirs would say that it's only clean when Carl cleans the house. Which fine. It's fine that the man cleans the house.
Yeah, that's more than fine.
However, it's a joint effort. You both live there.
Yeah.
So you kind of need, anyway, that's a
Uh-huh.
whole thing. But she just didn't care to do anything with her house. So there
Gross.
was even times like the kids would even go to the school with their clothes dirty. Like that's
Oh,
uncalled
see, no,
for.
no, that's
If
not
you
good.
if you have the resources to wash clothes, then wash your clothes. Understand if you
Not
don't have
even
the
your clothes. Make sure
resources.
your kids are going to
I
school in
know.
clean clothes.
Yeah, because it's because it wasn't that they didn't have the resources. It wasn't that at all. Because Kyle worked, they didn't like go buy things all the time. So they had the resources to clean and wash their clothes, but she didn't.
Hmm.
She chose not to. So he finally left Lisa for good in 1998. But
I get it.
he was not the one to file for divorce. She was actually the one to file for divorce because he took the kids to Oklahoma, back
Oh,
to
did he?
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Okay.
So he left her, took the kids.
Yeah, well,
So
I'm not really impressed with either of them thus
I'm
far.
not. No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. So I'm sorry, she was the one that filed for divorce, and the court granted quote unquote joint custody,
Mm-hmm.
but but Lisa was the one that got the actual physical custody of the
Oh,
children,
okay.
and basically Carl just got visitation rights.
Oh,
So it wasn't like
so it's
real joint
it's
custody.
not really okay.
It was mom got the custody, dad got to see the kids how on X amount of days. That's
Okay.
what it was, as per usual.
Yeah.
So Lisa ended up moving back to Kansas, and she moved in with her mom, who was now remarried again
Oh my
to
goodness.
another man. So technically, Carl was not her stepbrother anymore.
I through
So
oh my god, through this whole time I forgot.
he was her stepbrother.
Ugh.
Um,
Back to
but
vomiting. Okay.
Judy was married a total of 6 times. So
Uh,
um,
uh,
her next marriage,
okay.
well, anyway, so she's back in Kansas and she's with her mother at the time. So in 1999, so this is just a year after her and Carl got divorced,
Mm-hmm.
Lisa met Kevin Montgomery, a recent-ish divorcee with 3 kids of his own. So right after they started dating, Lisa pulled the pregnancy stunt again because Kevin didn't know she got her tubes tied.
Oh, Kevin.
Nobody in her new community knew that she got her tubes tied except her mom. So she told him, I'm pregnant. He goes, shit. He just got into a very messy divorce. And he was like, I've got 3 kids. You've got some yourself. I'm not ready for this. Here's some money. Go get an abortion.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so there's that. So obviously, she didn't need the procedure.
Right.
So she just kept the cash. Nothing else was said about it. They continued to date.
Oh.
So she really wanted Kevin's sympathy, though. She really wanted that proposal. So what she told him a pregnancy story from when she was a teenager. So she said that she got pregnant as a teenager, super happy. She carried the baby to full term. And after she delivered the baby, they took it away and they didn't give her the baby. They told her it was a stillborn. But that was just a trick, she said. It was just a trick because behind her back, her mom gave the baby up for adoption behind her back. She had no idea. When she found out that her mom did that, she ended up tracking down the adoptive parents somehow and found out her oldest daughter was named Sarah.
So this is the
There's
magical story that she told Kevin.
there's no actual proof that any of that happened, but this is what she told Kevin. So something must have worked because they ended up getting married in 2000.
Goodness.
Her and Kevin.
Kevin.
No, Kevin. So she was very much, she loved the internet. Like that was one quote that I saw in a couple sources, including the book. She loved the internet. She loved to get on there and talk to people. She loved to get on these different boards, different chat rooms and things like that. Again, this is all before social media. This was when just all the chat rooms were a thing.
Right.
She would get on there and talk to people. She'd give people advice about chickens or pigs or wool, all of the things that she did.
Right.
And then she'd talk about how when her and Kevin had kids, this is what they would do different with their kids. This is how they would raise their kids. I'd homeschool them and we'd do this. Oh, she was really into talking about their future family. Because at this point in time, her kids were almost all in high school. I think. Yeah. Pretty much almost high school age, junior high school at this point in time. So when she got married. So the thing is though, a lot of the people of Melbourne had like lost count of how many times she was pregnant and had miscarriages.
Well, I've already lost count.
Yeah. So she even went as far as to say that one of her miscarriages, she donated the fetus to science. So,
wow.
Yeah. So then in 2002, Lisa started breeding rat terriers.
Oh, goodness.
So she was very active on those rat terrier boards, as she was on every other thing. So she got into contact with Jason Dawson, the guy that I had mentioned before.
Yeah.
So he actually wanted to breed one of his dogs with hers. And that's how they had met. But pretty soon, Jason was like, ooh, she gives me the creeps. And felt very uncomfortable around her and tried to limit his contact with her completely. And he said that she would tell unnecessary lies. And so anytime she would try to strike a conversation with him, he would try to find the politest way to be like, I gotta go. I got an appointment on the moon. I'm sorry, it's pressing. Yeah. Gotta go. So he tried to just not associate with her at all.
It's pretty amazing that he got like creeped out from her. Like he got that feeling right away.
Yeah. So he pretty much the whole rat terrier community kind of felt the same way about Lisa. And that's when everybody's like, she's lying, because there was a whole thing about, she said she had a dog that she was going to give to one of the other breeders, and then she didn't have it, but she would send pictures of something, but she actually didn't have the dog, and everybody was up in an uproar. And that's when they were like, we got to get her out of here. And Bobbie Jo's like, no, I think it was just a misunderstanding. She's very sweet. She's super nice. She's a great, breeder. I think we should give her another chance.
That breaks my heart.
I know.
Oh, Bobbie Jo.
Yep. So in March of 2004, so at this point, she's already been breeding the rat terriers for a couple years. So in March of 2004, one of the women on the rat terrier boards said she was pregnant with twins. Well, by the end of March, Lisa's pregnant with twins. Can you believe it? Yeah.
Goodness.
Yep. So,
those.
But unfortunately, and it was one of those things where she shared it with her whole rat terrier family, and everybody's so excited. And then Bobbie Jo had announced her pregnancy in April. Everybody's giving them well wishes and everything. So it's this whole big family. But unfortunately, the woman that was actually pregnant with twins, she not too far into her pregnancy, she had a miscarriage.
Oh.
Well, then in October, Lisa lost one of her twins. So she just had one. She was now just pregnant with one.
Okay.
Yep. So then one of Lisa's Well, actually, this is before the twin thing. So this was, I think, just the year before. One of Lisa's half brothers, you know, 'cause she's got a million brothers and sisters.
Right.
One of Lisa's half brothers, he had a baby with his girlfriend. So she went to them and said, "Hey, give your baby to me." And they're like, "No."
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
a ballsy move.
yeah,
Hey, give me your
she's,
baby.
you should just give me your baby. Well, here's the thing. They had a meth lab. So I'm not
Oh,
saying that they needed
okay.
to keep the baby. However, people actually think that it was Lisa who tipped the cops off and they got busted real bad.
Oh.
They both went to prison. So there's that.
Where did their baby go?
Well, instead of
Not to
Lisa getting
Lisa,
the
I
baby,
hope.
instead of Lisa getting the baby because she just expected, oh, they're going to go to prison, I get the baby. That's not how it works. So
Oh God.
baby went into foster care, but there was custody hearings. So by the end of 2003, Lisa was back in her maternity clothes saying she was pregnant and literally telling anyone who would listen. But the baby that she was trying to get from her brother was put into foster care, a little boy. But Lisa acted like an expecting mother, like the whole 9 yards. She was milking it up in the courtroom for a custody hearing
Yikes.
of this little boy. Yeah. So she was trying to get custody over her mom because Judy was also trying to get custody of the baby. So nothing was accomplished at that hearing. I'm not sure what was happening, but nothing got accomplished. They ended up continuing the hearing. But before the next hearing, Lisa had a miscarriage. So she was a mourning mother. So she was trying to really push the sympathy of the judge for the next hearing, whining around that she had a miscarriage.
And meanwhile, all this is happening. So Keith is watching her get pregnant and miscarry like 30 times.
Yep. Kevin, not Keith.
I'm sorry. I'm bad with names, and there's just been so much so far.
There has been, yeah. Yeah. And meanwhile, there are women actually having miscarriages and mourning the loss of their children that they never got to meet. And here she is going around saying she's having miscarriages all the damn time. Yeah. So the judge didn't fall for her crap. So he granted custody to Judy. So Judy got the baby.
Yeah, but I don't love that either.
No, no, it's nothing. None of that's great.
No.
But there was another thing in the book that I read that there was a whole big dispute thing between Lisa, her mom, and one of Lisa's sisters, because I guess and one of her other brothers, because I guess after they were shipped to prison, I guess Lisa, her mom, and her sister were over at their house, like, I don't know, cleaning things or taking things. I don't remember exactly what happened, but one of her other brothers showed up and he, I don't know, was trying to do something with one of the vehicles and like had his pocket knife, and he was under the hood of one of the vehicles and he had his pocket knife out for something. And they all came out of the house and he turned around, had the knife obviously in his hand because he was working on the vehicle. And Lisa started like freaking out. He's got a knife. He's gonna attack us. Oh my gosh. And he's like, the fuck are you talking about? He's like, I'm not, but okay. And she starts freaking out. So then that gets her mom and her sister to freak out. So he's pissed and doesn't help things. So he's getting pissed and yelling, and it's a whole big
Oh my God.
thing. And I guess the sister went over to, I don't know, try to talk to her or something. He like pushed her. So everybody's like, ooh. And they went and barricaded themselves in the house. Cops were called. He's yelling and screaming because he's pissed at him, and he gets hauled away.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, whole thing.
Wow.
So they all try to file order of protections against him, and it's a whole thing. Oh, it's
Oh my God.
so much drama in this freaking family, I'm telling you.
Wow.
So, most of her siblings were into drugs as well. There
Ah,
weren't many that wasn't, but like this dude was apparently legitimately just trying to work on the vehicle, and they got him riled up, and he's doesn't apparently work well under pressure and blew up, and it was a whole thing.
well, I don't
So
even know what I would have done in that situation.
I know,
Like
I know.
if you and our mom came out of the house and was like, oh, she's got a knife. I think I'd be like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Whole thing. Yeah.
Wow.
But to get the full story, you got to read the book.
Oh my
It's
God.
pretty fascinating. So after the whole custody thing, where she didn't get the baby, she decided, I'm going to buy one.
Oh
So
God.
she found out that her ex-husband, ex-stepbrother, Carl, Carl and his new wife, I guess his wife was going to be inheriting some money. A loved one passed away of hers or something like that. And she heard that she was inheriting some money. So she went to them and was like, you need to give me $45,000. And they're like, um,
Please leave.
um, no. First of all, we don't have that.
Right. Get the fuck out of here, Lisa.
Second of all, if we did, we wouldn't give it to you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The
So
the audacity of this woman.
I know.
My like I'm out of breath. I feel like I just ran and I clearly haven't.
I know.
I'm like, God.
I mean, but she continued to harass these two for $45,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Why not 50,000? Why did we stop at 45? But anyway. So
I just hit my mic.
watch that.
Yikes.
So this in turn brings us back to April of 2004. She's saying she's pregnant. She's got twins.
Again.
So at this point in time, finally, her mom and her sister were like, dude, Kevin, she's not pregnant. She's lying to you. She had her tubes tied. She can't have children. He's like, no, nope, you're lying to me.
Kevin.
You are lying to me.
Oh,
My
Kevin.
wife wouldn't lie to me like this.
Oh, Kevin.
Yep.
What
So
a nice, trusting
then
man.
Lisa tried to get a restraining order against her mom and her sister.
Oh my God.
Well, that got denied.
Of course.
Yep, because I mean, there's no grounds to grant it.
They told my husband the truth, so they must pay.
In turn, just wait. In turn, she tried to file a court order to stop her mom and her sister from telling people that she faked her pregnancies.
What?
So that didn't get very far either, but she tried to literally have the court tell her mom and her sister to stop telling people that she faked her pregnancies.
Oh my.
This woman wouldn't stop at anything.
Again, the audacity.
I'm telling you.
Oh my.
Look, it's getting me all red. It's getting me my neck is hot. My face is hot.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
I literally feel like I'm getting like, what's whiplash, but without the whip? I feel like just
lash.
there's not even a relief of the whip.
Nope.
Just I feel like I'm getting lashed.
I know.
My goodness, just the lash.
I know. So, yeah, she's a lot. But leading up to December, because she's pregnant with twins, October, oh, I lost one of my babies, so I just have one now. But I'm doing December. I'm doing
Oh.
December. So leading up to December, Lisa was researching how to do a C-section. She was watching videos online of doctors performing C-sections to see how they do it.
Uh-huh.
She bought a home birthing kit.
Okay.
And she quit her job at Casey's. Hello,
Hey,
Midwest.
Casey's. Right.
Hello, Midwest. She quit her job at Casey's in November, just before Thanksgiving, because she told her boss that she needed to cut back on her workload since she was due in December.
Oh my God.
She couldn't work anymore.
Oh my God.
So Carl filed for custody of the kids right around Thanksgiving, beginning of December ish.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So he was citing basically that Lisa was crazy and kept faking pregnancies.
Which isn't wrong.
Right.
Okay.
She did keep
Yeah.
faking pregnancies.
She did. Uh-huh.
So she would end up having to admit that she wasn't pregnant, or she would have to produce a baby. So,
Okay.
yep. And people kept telling her, they're like, you don't look like you're almost 9 months pregnant.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's not a pregnant belly. That doesn't look like,
And
I mean,
what did her husband say about
well,
this?
she said I have small babies.
No.
So,
No.
yeah.
No.
But it was said that she like wouldn't let Kevin go to any of her doctor's, quote unquote, doctor's appointments with her. I'll talk about that.
Yeah, okay, real quick, just as an aside, this is reminding me of the first season of Glee when Mr. Shu's wife pretends that she's pregnant and sets up these like whole weird things
I've never
like
seen
to
Glee,
make it.
so
It's not worth it. But this is what it's reminding me of.
I was just listening to some of the songs.
That's all you need, honestly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's just what it's reminding me of. Please continue. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
My head is full.
Yeah. Well, she finally made her plan to go get her baby from Bobbie Jo. So if this will take you back, she printed off the directions from MapQuest. So she printed off those directions and she drove to Maryville, Missouri first to the Walmart there. I don't know what she got at Walmart there, but she stopped there first. This was on December 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was saying for a while that her due date was December 15th. And then all of a sudden she was like, oh no, actually my due date is December 16th. That's when my due date is.
That's not something that you are, as an expecting mother, that's not really something that you get wrong.
Right. So
like, hey, I'm getting this life-changing thing on this day.
So she ended up creeping out another mother there. Yes, this mom had a little baby in a cart, and she was like looking at something on the shelf. And Lisa came up. She's like, "Oh my gosh, your baby's so cute." Blah blah blah. The woman's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." She's like, "She's such a good baby." Blah blah blah. You know, being a nice stranger, until she says, "Well, do you want me to hold her while you're looking through those things?"
Absolutely not.
And the woman was
Stranger.
like, no. And she's like, she got away as quickly as she possibly could.
Ned Flanders back into the bushes.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
Ugh, yikes.
Yeah. That was in the book. I thought that was like,
oh, that's terrifying.
Wow. So once she left Walmart, she went straight to Bobbie Jo's. And you know what happened there?
Yep.
So once she left with the baby, she went somewhere and cleaned herself and the baby up. And then she drove to Long John Silver's in Topeka, Kansas, and called her husband. This was at 5:15. So it was a couple hours from Skidmore. Good Lord, I couldn't think of the name. Couple hours from Skidmore.
Mm-hmm.
She went to Topeka, Kansas. She's in the freaking parking lot of a Long John Silver's, calls Kevin and was like, oh my gosh, so I was Christmas shopping at the mall in Topeka and I went into labor. So I went to the nearest hospital there, the birthing clinic, and I had the baby. And now I'm in a Long John Silver's parking lot waiting for you to come pick me up. That is what she told her husband.
Oh, my head.
So, she and two of her teenage children drive to this Long John Silver's, pick her up. One of her kids drives her car home, and Kevin drives her and the baby home.
Well, if she's got a car, why did she need to be picked up?
Well, my question would have been, okay, if you drove from the hospital to a Long John Silver's parking lot, why aren't you driving the rest of the way home?
That's
What?
why I'm questioning. Okay.
Also, you supposedly just gave birth. Why are you out of the hospital?
Like,
What?
if it was like an hour ago. Oh, why are you at Long John Silver's?
Also, she supposedly left. She probably would have left home. Let's see. She was supposed to meet Bobbie Jo around 12:30ish, I think.
Uh-huh.
So it was a few hours to Skidmore. So let's say she left her house around 9 a.m.
Uh-huh.
It's 5:15 and she's calling her husband, I had a baby. I was Christmas shopping and went into labor. And now I'm in Long John Silver's parking lot. Come pick me and the newborn baby up. Now, I've never had a child.
Yeah, I can't really say much because I haven't either, obviously.
However, I don't feel like it's that quick.
No.
So she named the baby Abigail and they went home. They had a good night's sleep. They were all loved the baby. The next day, they wake up and happy, we got a baby, we got to go show the baby off. So they go have breakfast at the little cafe in town. And again, it's another little small town, so everybody knows everybody. So everybody knows that she had been saying that she was pregnant. So when she comes in with a baby on her arm, everybody's like, oh, baby. Ray's going up to look at the baby and asking her things. And she's like, it's the craziest thing. I went into labor while I was Christmas shopping. And so the owner, I don't know if she was the owner or just another waitress there that knew her or what, but she's like, and you had her yesterday?
And you're here?
And you're at a cafe the next day in December? You have your newborn baby out here today?
Mm-hmm.
Question mark? I mean,
valid questions.
Yeah.
Valid.
So, and while they're there, they happen to see Kevin's boss there. And Kevin's boss is like, dude, why didn't you tell me that your wife was going into labor yesterday? You could have left work. And
like, well, she didn't tell me either. Shrug.
Goes, right. She goes, oh, it just happened so fast. I wasn't able to call him.
Too fast for a fucking phone call?
Nobody else at the hospital could have called him.
Was there no one else at the hospital?
At the hospital.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm traumatized from this.
I'm telling you. So something didn't sit well, obviously, with Kevin's boss. He's like, that's not okay. Oh. I literally would have let you off for the birth of your daughter.
Yeah, Kevin must have been blinded by love or just incredibly, he's
Blinded
obviously
by a new baby.
he's obviously a very, very trusting man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet,
Yeah.
sweet trusting man.
So the next
Oh,
stop was to go to their pastor's house, the pastor's
no.
wife's house, to show off the new baby. So the pastor was kind of feeling the same way about Kevin's boss, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but
You're like,
he's
why are you
like,
here?
she's been saying she's pregnant, and I mean, now we have a baby, so I guess she had a baby, but okay. So, because I even put it here, I'm like, but they didn't question too much because now Lisa actually had proof she was pregnant, right?
For the first time.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what's kind of awful is someone who was at the diner that knew Lisa's mom. She called Judy and was like, "Hey, congratulations on being a grandma again." And she's like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, Lisa came in with a new baby," and her literal quote was, "Yeah, right. She either stole it or bought it."
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Oh, Judy.
Yeah. When I read that, I'm like, "Oh shit, Judy
Oh,
throwing
damn.
some shade there."
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kevin
I
was
gotta take a
just
drink of my water.
Kevin, poor Kevin though was completely
Oh.
blindsided. Like they even did polygraph tests on him. They questioned him extensively
Yeah, of
about
course.
like, dude, are you sure you didn't help her with this? You had zero idea. He was clueless about everything. He
Oh, my.
genuinely believed that Abigail was his daughter.
Oh, no.
He even swore he felt the baby kick sometimes. Like she'd be like, "Oh, you feel my belly. Feel it kick? Oh my gosh, she's kicking." Yep.
Oh. Oh,
Yep.
God.
Yep. So he gave a statement to the media because, of course, obviously there was a media frenzy
Oh,
about this
yeah.
case. Because, like I said,
Absolutely.
I even remember this as a 13-year-old when this happened.
I also remember this as a, what was I, 10?
2004, 11-ish. Yeah, you'd have just turned 11 because it happened in December 2004.
Yeah, there we go. Like I
Yeah,
said, I remember this.
yeah.
And I
So,
didn't
I
pay
mean,
attention to anything or anyone, so I remember this. So it goes to
huge
show you.
media thing.
Yeah.
Huge about this.
Right.
So, he actually gave a statement to the media before one of her court dates. So this is a direct quote from him. He says, "I had no idea. My heart ain't just broke for me and Lisa and her kids. It's them too," meaning Bobbie Jo's family. "My family has suffered a tragedy, but I'm not the only family. This has to be as hard or harder on them than it is on me. I sure hope they get as much support from their church and community as I have, because we are all going to need it. That was a precious baby. I know."
Who said that?
Kevin.
Kevin said that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
my heart.
it's heartbreaking for him too, because I mean he was super happy about the baby. He literally just said that was a precious baby
What he thought was his baby the next day is not his baby, actually.
and gets taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back, Lisa sometimes had a hard stomach and it was distended sometimes when she faked her pregnancies. So one of the reasons, and now I'm going into a lot of different reasons why this could have happened, why she could have done this, and on all of this. So one of the reasons could be pseudocyesis. I definitely had to look up how to pronounce that.
Yeah.
But this is a type of psychosis causing women to seek attention by faking a pregnancy. Basically, they could learn how to swallow air to bloat their stomach, but they can also experience lots of pregnancy symptoms.
Yeah,
during
that's
psychosis.
that's a legit thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because they can symptoms like enlarged breasts, missed periods, morning sickness, and I mean, you name it,
The list goes on.
they could experience it.
Yeah.
So it could have been that, or she was in a dissociative episode where she genuinely believed she was pregnant and showed signs of it as well. Dr. Jack Gorman, chief of psychiatry at the Mount Sinai Medical Center and professor of neuroscience at Mount Sinai School of Medicine, he was quoted as saying, in these cases, a woman might have a delusion that that's my baby and that woman, she's stolen it. And if I don't rescue it, she's going to kill it. And the motivation is just so overwhelming that you just lose contact with the reality. And it's hard for people who've never had this experience to understand, but the voices and hallucinations and demands become overwhelming. That really kind of opened my eyes a little bit, because at first I'm like, this woman's a monster. Holy crap. But then there's a legitimate psychosis where they genuinely believe she has my baby. That there in her stomach, that's my baby. She's going to kill it. I got to get it.
Yeah.
But she had a lot of preparation.
She had too much.
That's my other thing about this. So I'm going to continue. So when she was faking her 2002 pregnancy, I have to specify. So when she was faking that specific pregnancy, she wouldn't allow Kevin to go with her to her quote unquote appointments. Her doctor testified that he treated her for ankle pain and a cold, not for prenatal care. So it was after that quote unquote due date. That was the one that she said she donated the fetus to science. Obviously that never happened.
Yeah.
Never happened. But her doctor's like, yeah, she hurt her ankle and she had a sneeze. She wasn't pregnant.
No.
She didn't even talk about a pregnancy. So, Dr. Ramachandran, I don't know. It's a long one and it's hard to say, but I tried.
Sorry, doctor.
So I'm very sorry, because that was not, I'm sure, how you pronounce it. But he testified for the defense. So he said that Lisa did suffer from severe pseudocyesis,
Mm-hmm.
and she was in a dissociative state when she murdered Bobbie Jo. According to him, her physical and sexual abuse as a child basically predisposed her to have pseudocyesis. All of the preparations that she went through and all of that was all part of the disorder. He said she was unable to appreciate the nature and the quality of her acts. On the opposite side, Dr. Dietz, I know that one, that's a short one. Dr. Dietz, he was the prosecutor's witness. He said she was not suffering from pseudocyesis at the time because she knew full well that she couldn't have kids anymore. So she didn't think she was pregnant. She knew she wasn't.
Yeah.
She didn't even go to doctor's appointments for pregnancy. She knew she wasn't pregnant. She was just trying to tell people and convince people that she was. So she literally lied about everything because she was a compulsive liar.
Mm-hmm.
So the day she supposedly had her baby, her first story to Kevin was, oh yeah, I went into labor while I was Christmas shopping. I had the baby at this medical center near us, and now I'm at the Long John Silver's. Well, then she told somebody else in the presence of Kevin that she had the baby at home. She actually said that to one of the officers, I believe. And she had the baby at home, but they got it all cleaned up, and she threw the placenta and all the towels that were blood soaked into like a river or something. Like, yeah,
What?
Something totally off the wall. And she changed her story again until she finally actually confessed. So they also found insurance paperwork that she had filled out during her quote unquote pregnancy. So there was a section, I guess, in this insurance paperwork that you could either check if you were pregnant or, I don't know, list. I think there was like a specific spot asking if you were pregnant.
Yeah.
She checked no. So, I mean, she knew she wasn't pregnant.
Yeah.
And this was supposedly while she was supposed to be pregnant. So, he also argued that she couldn't keep anything straight and that she kept changing where she gave birth. Ultimately, she was found competent to stand trial because that was in question. She was found guilty and she was sentenced to death. So she exhausted all of her appeal attempts, and they all said the exact same thing, that they all of her appeal attempts were completely denied and her death sentence remained, and she was officially executed on January 13th of this year, just a couple weeks ago. Not even a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I actually read her most recent attempt at appeal, and yeah, at the very end, judge was like, nope, denied. All of this was done correctly. You were fit to stand trial. You are still sentenced to death.
Yeah, because I read like her current, I guess, lawyer, if that's still what you can call the lawyer, is current. But
Yeah.
basically saying that, oh, this was a sick woman and this didn't need to happen, kind of thing.
Now, was she a sick woman? Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
she went through literal hell growing up.
Yeah.
And even in at least one of her marriages, don't know about the marriage to Kevin, but at least one of her marriages wasn't great either. I mean, she was physically, sexually, and mentally abused by her stepfather, possibly her mother as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she didn't have a great childhood. Again, that was a breeding ground for a killer,
like
basically.
for future violent behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then she was essentially forced to have a tubal ligation is what it's called, but I mean, she was forced to get her tubes tied after her fourth child. She clearly thought, to keep a man, I have to get pregnant again. So she kept trying. She had to have that man in her life, because even when Carl left her the first time, they literally got married again the next year. When Carl left her again the next year, she got into a relationship with Kevin and married him a year later. So she never really, once she got with Carl the first time, she never went without a man, essentially.
Yeah.
So she really needed approval. She needed to keep her marriage. And she did everything she could to try to do that.
Yeah.
While all of that is all very true, I have a really hard time with as much preparation that she went through to get Bobbie Jo's baby. This was not a spur of the moment thing. This was planned. She changed her due date to December 16th when she made the plan to go to Bobbie Jo.
Yeah. Because, okay, I don't think that she was in a dissociative episode where she thought, oh, that's my baby. I don't think that at all.
Well, she tried to take her brother's baby. She wasn't saying that's my baby. She just said, give me your baby.
Yeah.
I need to raise your baby. She went to her ex-husband to get money to buy a baby. She's not saying, I need to buy my baby. She's saying, I need to buy a baby.
I just want a baby.
I want a baby.
Don't care what it is, as long as
this
it's a
woman
baby.
Has a baby. I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah, I'm going to take that baby.
I'm taking that baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I definitely don't want to get into a argument of the death penalty and like whether you think it's right, whether you think it's wrong. I think it's a very, very gray area because I think some people should not continue to live in society. I think some people
Right.
are way too dangerous for prison even.
However,
And
there are those instances of the people that were on death row for how many years that were actually innocent.
innocent,
So
yeah.
it's
Well,
very, very gray area.
that's what I'm saying. Like it's a very gray
However,
area. But
for
honestly,
this one in general,
yeah.
I don't know.
The thing is, maybe she was sick. I don't think she might have had that psychosis where it was like I have to have a baby and I think that I'm pregnant. But
She knew she wasn't, though. That's what the other doctor was trying to say for the one for the prosecution. That's what he was trying to say. He's like, no, she wasn't under the impression she was pregnant. She knew she wasn't pregnant. She was just trying to get everybody else to think she was pregnant because she wants that attention. She wants that recognition. She wants all the doting people like, oh, congratulations, how is this, blah blah blah. She was very much an attention seeker, it seemed, because she had such a shit an awful childhood.
yeah,
That doesn't excuse what she did.
absolutely not. That because I mean, if you look at just the crime, a woman killed another woman and cut out her baby, that right there, you'd be like, yes, fucking put her to death. We don't care. But then, like, the more you unfold, the more confusing and back and forth you go, which is why I feel the death penalty is such a gray area.
Yeah.
But all in all, no matter how you view this case, I'm not really going to shed any tears that she's gone.
I'm not either.
I'm not.
However, it's just she has such a tragic, and this is not saying that Bobbie Jo's story was not tragic, because that was a fucking tragedy.
Yeah.
That girl's life was taken way too soon. She never got to meet the baby she was so excited to have.
Yes, like so much potential there.
Yeah.
It's sad. Like, don't get me wrong, I feel for the child that Lisa was. I feel bad for the child that she used to be. I feel terrible, and her upbringing was a nightmare.
Nobody should have to go through that.
However, there are people with similar upbringings who grow up to not be killers.
Right.
So,
yeah.
However you look at it, it's like I said, I'm not going to shed any tears.
Yeah. Well, Zeb, he named the baby Victoria Jo because that was the name that they had agreed on if it was a baby girl. So they lovingly called her Tori Jo. So Victoria, fittingly, means winner or conqueror.
Stop it.
I know. I'm telling you, this book, it takes you on so many different roller coaster of emotions. I cried. I was pissed. I was disgusted. And then I cried
some
again.
more.
Oh, and I'm telling you, when I read that, I'm like, she conquered. But
yeah, because she's like 16,
she's 16.
17. Yeah.
She just turned 16 in December.
Goodness.
So Zeb found homes for all the dogs except two, Bobbie Jo's favorites, Belle and Tipsy.
Oh.
Yep.
My heart.
I know. So the other thing is they got into circulation. They tried to get a law in motion that's called Tori Jo's loophole. And it talks about, I know,
no,
talks about basically C-section abductions.
Yeah. And
I
it's wild that the term C-section abduction even exists.
I know. But I don't know if it was fully passed, because they mentioned this in the book. The book was actually written, I believe, before she was found guilty.
Okay.
I think it was written and published into 2005, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So
because when did her sentence go through? Do you know what year?
I think it was 2005 or early 2006.
Okay.
Because I don't think it was. I mean, it wasn't a short amount of time after the murder, but
Right.
I don't think it took years to do it, to get her, because I mean, they knew she did it. The fact was trying to figure out if she was mentally competent to handle her trial.
Yeah.
And then all the witnesses, all their, professional witnesses and stuff that they had. So it was kind of a ordeal.
Yeah.
So it never actually said if in the book if Tori Jo's loophole actually got pushed through.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it in the Amber Alert site, because I went straight to the source. I went to the Amber Alert site and was like looking at the law, looking at all of the things, and I never actually saw anything saying that. So I don't know. Because at the time the government was trying to figure out, I don't know, something else that was major that was happening around the time. I don't know if they were trying to talk about border control or terrorist attacks. Obviously, I mean, 9/11 had just happened a few years prior.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were trying to, that was overshadowing Tori Jo's loophole, and it kept getting kind of pushed to the side.
Ugh. That should never
I know.
be pushed to the side.
I know. But I didn't realize this, but abduction by C-section is a lot more common than you think, because first of all, there's a term for it.
Yeah.
Second of all, there was a study showing that from 1982 to the year 2000, there were 199 cases of abduction by C-section.
In the United States?
In the United States. That's just the States. So, yeah. And she listed at least 6-7 cases of this instance, and they are all, first of all, I want to say they're all awful, but it is fascinating of what happened with some of these cases. I even wrote one of them down because I want to do that one in the future, because the woman that this happened to, her story was a complete tragedy as well.
Wow.
So, and there also, she also covers another case in there from Skidmore, Missouri, because she's like, the was like, how have we heard of Skidmore before? Because there was another famous case from that town about a man in the 70s, which I also want to cover.
Oh yeah, we got to cover that.
That case was crazy, because I just got a little taste of it in the book, and I am ready to cover that case too. So, not yet, but I will.
And we're not going to divulge any more information because it's crazy.
I mean, definitely read this book. Baby Be Mine, the shocking true story of a woman who murdered a pregnant mother to steal her child, by Diane Fanning. Literally just, it is. I mean, it's just on the cover, it's just Baby Be Mine. And then the rest of it is like in little letters underneath of it.
That's not the same Diane from North Carolina, is it?
No, no.
Okay.
No, this is Diane Fanning. That was Diane I couldn't really pronounce.
Oh, that's right. Thank you to both Dianes.
No kidding.
Diane is the name of the day.
No kidding. Yeah. But also in the book, there's another thing. In the middle of the book, there's some pictures of Bobbie Jo.
Stop.
The first picture that they showed was her and one of her rat terrier puppies asleep on her lap. Oh, it was heart-wrenching.
Ugh.
Yeah. And they showed her like when she was little at Christmas, and yeah.
Well, I hope that Tori Jo is doing amazing, and that so is Zed. Zeb,
Yeah.
correct?
Zeb.
Zeb.
Yeah, because it was Zebediah.
Zebediah. It's a mouthful,
Zeb.
but that's
Yeah.
okay. I hope they are doing amazing and doing
Yep.
wonderful things.
Yep.
Are they still in Missouri? Do you know?
From what I understand, they are, and they had that baby had an outpouring of support
yeah.
and help, and people were just dying to help in any way that they can from the community.
Course.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, now people leave them alone.
No kidding. Yeah, that's the other big thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, that is this week's episode of 2K Away. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on this very wild and emotional ride.
I'm gonna go.
I said pregnant and baby so many times. I don't even like either of those things.
Right.
It made me nauseous.
I know. Goodness. Alrighty.
For multiple reasons.
Right. So you can follow us on Facebook at
2K Away.
And you can follow us on Instagram at 2K Away Podcast. And we do have a YouTube channel. It is 2K Away Podcast. And every time you type in 2K, it is with the number 2.
Number 2.
And we also do have a Gmail if you'd like to contact us to suggest something or anything of that nature. It is 2kawaypodcast@gmail.com. And if you would like to support us, because again, just still waiting on that Patreon whenever I can get to it,
someday.
Yes, if you'd like to support us, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, give us some stars and leave us a review. That helps people to find us, and it helps people to find us.
Helps them find us, but also find us.
Yes. And a little to Paige for her first introduction.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Yes. Well, we'll be here next week. So
yeah.
Alrighty. So thank you very much. We hope to see you in the next one. And bye-bye.
Bye.